If you've been going around the good old internet looking for the right podcast to fulfill your New York Yankees needs, well, I'll be the first to deliver the good news to you. You have found it. Here on Yapping Yankees with me, your host, Mike Scudero, you and I will be discussing the latest news, takes, and talk throughout the entire Yankee universe. Oh, and there may be some ranting on my behalf. Yeah. Anyway, what do you say we get to it? Let's get to yapping! Well, hello there, my fellow Yankee fans, and welcome to episode 255 of the Yapping Yankees podcast. As always, I am your host, Mike Scudero, your friendly neighborhood Yankee yapper with the best yap in all the land here on April 27th of the year 2025 with yet another extra large order of the classic Yappuccino for you. Thank you, as always. And just as I fire up the recording, J.C. Escara hits an absolute nuke into the right field bleachers. Oh my gosh, how you doing, my friends?
This is where the fun begins.
You know it, Anakin. Shout out to the re-release of Revenge of the Sith, by the way. My diehard Star Wars fan self couldn't go even an episode of this without mentioning that, at least. It's been another couple of weeks, and if you're wondering why the hell I'm talking like a Yankee game is going on as I'm recording on a Sunday night, well, because it is, duh! The Yanks are about to wrap up their second of two games here on this doubleheader Sunday, good old-fashioned doubleheader Sunday since they were rained out yesterday. It was a crap day here in New York yesterday on Saturday the 26th, and the Yankees had a couple of games to play at once with the Blue Jays today, one right after the other pretty much. They're about to wrap up the end of this second game already, went by very fast. Just a little bit over 2 hours. And J.C. Escara literally just hit a nuke in the bottom of the eighth inning. Just as I hit record.
Give me a hell yeah!
On top of it, stone cold. Whew. What a start. Hope you guys have been good the last couple of weeks, my friends. Hope everybody had a happy Easter, Passover, whatever it is that you celebrate. Or if you don't celebrate either of those things, just hope you had a last good 2 weeks. What can I tell you? We have a lot to get to today, of course. It has been another couple of weeks since the last time we spoke. Got the window open in my room right here because it's a lovely night here on Sunday night in New York. So got the window open for a little breeze as I record here. Got the television on right next to me watching the ninth and final inning of Game 2, the doubleheader today against the Blue Jays. And the Yankees are about to sweep this doubleheader and therefore take the series. They really should be going for a sweep tonight if it wasn't for Devin Williams absolutely sucking. But I guess we'll get to that in a little bit because that is one of many things we have to discuss today. But I guess I'll start off with a little reminder, my friends. And I know it's not one that you guys like to hear or be reminded of at all, but it is important nonetheless so you can know what's going on over the course of the next few weeks. I have mentioned it a bunch, but I have to mention it again just so nobody forgets it and is surprised over the course of the next few weeks. But an unfortunate reminder for you Yapping Yankees listeners out there. This is the last Yapping Yankees episode for about a month. Actually, a little bit more than a month. Because after this, my life gets even crazier than it already has been, to be honest. But very, very crazy. Because at the end of this week, it'll be May already, which is, I don't know, just bonkers. I don't know what else to say about time moving fast anymore. I'm just beating a dead horse at this point. It just speeds by faster than I can ever hope to keep track of. But it'll be May at the end of this week, and therefore my absolute exile time period will begin for the home stretch of my studying for my Series 7 exam, my first attempt, which, as I mentioned many times, is taking place on May 15th. It's coming up, so please pray for me if you have not already. But that's coming up in just about 2.5 weeks or so, give or take, and I have already been pretty much in the trenches as much as I possibly could be for the better part of the last few months, since really early mid-January was when I started my studying for this fully. I already passed the SIE, my first exam of many to get licensed in the finance industry, back in November. And I started studying for my next quest, the heavyweight champion of the exams, if you will, Series 7. I started my studying for this back on like January 9th or 10th or something along those lines, beginning mid-January, and now just as it always does, time blasts past me. And here I am, only about 2.5 weeks away from the exam that I scheduled a while back for May 15th, and it's right upon me already. I've already been studying like a psycho, but May 1st begins my extreme exile period. And I'm basically not going to be seen or heard from much of anybody outside my immediate family, my closest friend circle. You get the deal. But I'm not going to be seen or heard from, really, for those couple of weeks, except if I'm going to work or if it's just something absolutely urgent that really, really requires my presence. So other than that, I'm going into absolute exile for the home stretch. That includes with Yapping Yankees. It will not be happening during that time period, which explains my silence for the first half of May. But then right after that, and around that too, my mom's birthday is coming up, Mother's Day is coming up, my brother's birthday is next weekend, and then right after the exam, as I've mentioned many times, I'm going to Japan for about a week, 7 or 8 days, from the 21st through the 28th or 29th. And I'll need my recovery time after that and get settled back into my life, and then before you know it, at that point, it's pretty much June. So, as I've said many times, because of all these things, lots going on, guys. So I need to take a step away from this, and I'll get my bearings back with this in June. It's definitely the longest hiatus I've probably taken for Yapping Yankees during the season, but hey, listen, this show's had a pretty damn friggin' good run. It's been going on 6 years. This is my 7th year worth of coverage, my 7th season worth of coverage, I should say. So, yeah, listen, lots going on. Need to take a step away. It is what it is. So, after this episode, after tonight, or this week, whenever you happen to be listening, you're not going to be getting any new Yapping Yankees content for at least another month, or a little bit more than that, probably. So, probably beginning mid-June will be my next episode after tonight. So, very sorry to you guys out there, but hey, listen, this podcast has been hella consistent for over a half decade. Got a lot going on. What can I tell you? So, that's what happens when life gets busy, part of getting older, you know? So, but a lot of good coming up. Lots of good. Basically all good. Obviously, my finance career I have very high hopes for, and this is the next major step on my path towards there. And everything else is great. Birthdays, Mother's Day, trip of a lifetime to Japan. What can I say? It's amazing. So all good, fortunately, but a lot nonetheless. So a little bit over a month probably. You guys will not be hearing any fresh Yapping Yankees content. But hey, listen, especially after today, there are 255 episodes worth of content spanning across years. So if you want to go back and listen to any, or if you even want to just listen back to this one, episodes 1 all the way through to today, as I always remind people at the end of each episode where to find every episode, 1 through to 255 today, they're all on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. You could listen to any of them on any of those platforms. And I didn't start uploading to YouTube until episode 34 a few years back. So 34 up to today can be found on there. If you miss Yapping Yankees over the course of this next month plus, you listen back to this one. It's there for your listening ears. And so are the rest of the 250 plus for the entire history of it. So it's all there for the taking whenever you want if you happen to miss it over the course of the next month plus. But it's the way it's got to be, guys. So just a reminder of that this is the last Yapping Yankees episode until at least the start of June. I will not be doing anything in the month of May for Yapping Yankees, but my presence on social media will still be there because that doesn't nearly require as much effort or time or dedication, so I'm definitely still going to be on there, so keep track of that. That's also where you'll be able to see me update on my Series 7 results or just about anything that I usually talk about on there. Nothing's going to change as far as my social media. I may be a little quieter amidst being even busier like I will be over the course of the next couple of weeks, but other than that, just keep track of me on there. Not much is going to change from that perspective, but just another reminder for Yapping Yankees, guys. And I'm sorry for those of you who are sad about it, but again, it's the way it's got to be. I've been awfully consistent, so I don't feel too bad about it. But I will miss it, but a lot of things are going to be occupying my time anyway, so there's only so much that it's going to be on my mind anyway, if I'm being brutally honest. So, but I look forward to being back in June. I do plan on at least finishing out 2025, and we'll see where we go from there, because I'm only going to get busier and busier, especially as my financial career continues to take off as the months continue, but we'll see. I do plan on finishing 2025 at least. That much I can tell you. So we'll see how it goes. Got to take each day as it comes. That's the best advice on how to approach life, right? At least in my opinion. So that's that, guys. Last episode for a month plus. Hope you enjoy it. I'm going to try to make it as fun as possible. There is no social media segment today. I kind of dropped the ball on that one, if I'm being honest, because just had a weekend where I was relaxing a little bit, which I have not gotten to do in a very long time. So today came around, it was just kind of like, oh, Sunday's here. Crap, I didn't post a social media segment. So that crept up on me real nice. It has been a couple of times lately, but still plan on delivering a hell of a show for you. As always, nice, entertaining, maybe a little bit rant-filled even, which I know a lot of you like, even if you don't tend to agree with what I say. But nonetheless, still going to be a fun one. So sit back, kick back, enjoy. If you're listening in the car, then pay attention to the damn road, but still enjoy nonetheless. We have enough irresponsible drivers out there. Do not be one of them. And just enjoy. So what do you say, my friends? Before our month-plus hiatus of Yapping Yankees here, let's do this one more for the road. Lot to talk about today, but lots of ups and downs the last couple of weeks, guys. The Yankees have been, oh my gosh, pretty volatile. Almost like the stock market these days. But, oh God, starting to incorporate finance-related jokes. That's when you know. It's happening. But, yeah, lots happened. A lot of frustrating losses. A lot of exciting, thrilling wins. A lot of players in between that are either making us very happy and proud, and a lot of us that are just making us rip our hair out. I guess it just depends where or who you look at. It could even be the officiating. Like, how about last Sunday, a week ago today, when we witnessed one of the single worst home run review outcomes we have just about ever seen? I mean, oh my God, when Judge had a home run taken away from him. I really remember that because Judge hit another home run today, snapping a decently long homerless streak for him games-wise. And now for the rest of the year, just to be the ass that I am, but also not really being an ass, just telling the truth, to be honest, because they completely botched that call last Sunday. Now, every single Judge home run that's hit, and again, it reminds me because I did this again today upon Judge hitting a homer today, we say the number of home runs that the scoreboard says he has, and then the amount of home runs that he should actually have in reality. So today he hit his 8th home run scoreboard-wise, but in asterisks or parentheses or what have you, he really hit his 9th. So that's what reminded me of that. But yeah, so umpires and the review system just going straight to hell, that continues, but what else is new there? Just a lot of crazy things happening in the last couple of weeks. That's the moral of the story. As far as the outcomes of the games, I would say there's been more pros than cons the last couple of weeks since we last spoke, but some frustrations definitely in between, even when the outcome might have been good. On an overall basis, as far as the final score of a given game, a lot of frustrating things in between that should be mentioned in regards to the true status of the Yankees and where they're at all around right now. And we'll take the team apart like I usually do every episode. I'll go through each hitter and how they've done lately. I'll talk about the pitching generally, bullpen and starting rotation. And we'll just go from top to bottom. But as far as the outcome, speaking of outcome, the Yankees did just win the second game of the doubleheader, so that's nice. Yep. And actually, going into tonight's episode, like earlier on today when I was thinking about doing the show tonight, I was thinking that since I was going to get started recording a little bit later, which I ultimately did, but I was thinking that this second game would go a little longer and that I would be reacting to more of it here on the show. But I mean, I hopped on and was ready at the end of it. It went by really fast. Was it 2.5 hours? Yeah, I don't know, because it was mainly low scoring throughout most of it until the Yankees did more damage towards the later-ish part of the game. But yeah, it went by really quick, so I ended up not getting to react in live time to too much of it here. But nonetheless, you're not going to hear me complaining because they did a very nice job today. Both games. Kicked their ass in Game 1, and then Game 2 here showed some good life at the end and ultimately came out with the win and swept the doubleheader and took the series. And it's always cool to see J.C. Escara, the guy who I wanted to be the backup catcher so badly back in spring training, had himself a hell of a day. He's had some nice moments here. First time around in the big leagues. I'm so happy for him. Just one of those really good stories. Former Uber driver, substitute teacher, and here he is backup catching for the friggin' New York Yankees, doing a very nice job at it. So really happy for him. A lot of the pitchers always seem to say they work very well with him too, just from a defensive standpoint when he's catching them. So that's really good. I like to hear that. So whenever Wells needs a game off like today, when they split a game, Wells did game 1, Escar did game 2. It's nice to know the Yankees have a reliable backup option, so that's cool. But I do sort of wish I got to react to more of it in real time, to more of the game, but hey, couldn't get off my couch and just get my ass in my room to start this recording up. I wanted to keep watching the game, and before I knew it was flying by. So when I fired it up, it was already towards the end. So that's what happens, but nonetheless, still very satisfied with the result. A good end to the weekend. Yankees hitting the road once again to head off to Baltimore now tomorrow, where they will be going to face the Orioles for 3 games tomorrow, Tuesday, Wednesday. And they'll have another day off Thursday, and they'll return home to face the Rays again after seeing them last at George M. Steinbrenner Field. So that's the next week ahead after they've now wrapped up play against the Blue Jays. But it really does... It's also kind of annoying. Don't get me wrong. I am very happy that they took the series and especially swept a doubleheader today. That's not easy to do. I'm not downplaying that, believe me. I just mean the rest of the series outside of that. But it does tick me off that they very well could have swept this series too and really just shoved the Blue Jays far down. Again, I'm well aware that it's only the end of April. I am well aware of these things and I do not need to be reminded of it, regardless of what I say on here or on social media or what have you, because... You know, I have a lot of opinions, whether I put it out there in real time or on the show here, and people take issue with it every now and again, and they always say, oh my God, it's early, it's April. I know. No matter how many times I seem to repeat that I know it's April and that I'm just giving my opinions and thoughts on something, I don't know, everyone just says, oh, it's April. That's not something to dismiss an argument. I mean, I guess it depends, but I've also said a million times with the awareness of what I'm saying that I know it's April. I keep on having to remind people that it's almost like a disclaimer I have to put in front of all my opinions lately. Oh my gosh. But anyway, could have shoved the Blue Jays even further down because now they're 4 games back. Could have been even more if they would have just won on Friday like they should have, because, well, the team did the job even though they didn't score as many runs as they should have on Friday. But then even amidst all of that, Devin Williams comes in and just proceeds to do exactly what he's done in basically every appearance, maybe with the exception of maybe like 1 or 2 of them a month into the year here. Comes in and just blows everything sky high. And that comes right off the heel of not pitching for about a week and a half. And then when we had seen him last before that, it was Easter weekend when the Yankees had a 4-run lead in the 9th inning, and he blew that game too, and it wasn't even a save situation. So, yeah, he has been pretty freaking terrible. I guess we'll start with him since I'm on that subject, but yeah, he blows the game on Friday, and that's the only thing standing in the way just about of a Yankees sweep of the Blue Jays, which would have been awesome, but again, they took the series, fine, great, whatever. But it does lead into another important discussion, Devin Williams, and there's been a lot of discussion swirling around in the last couple of days, especially since his other meltdown on Friday, which feels like his 25th meltdown already. But a lot of talk about him, especially because Friday and then yesterday was sort of, weird off day in between because of the rain, but then especially today, it was re-emphasized, really. I think Andy Martino mentioned it first Friday night, and then it was really re-emphasized on the S Network today. That Boone said that for the time being, at least, Devin Williams is being moved out of the closer role. Thank Christ. Because, I don't know how much more you got to see. Again, this comes with the disclaimer once more that everyone seems to need nowadays. Yes, it's only April, but how many times are you going to send the guy out there and he's just going to completely suck and just implode every time he takes the mound for the Yankees? How many times? Regardless of what time of the season it is. I mean, it comes to the point where you haven't even played too many games because it is April. And you're talking about the Yankees could have multiple more wins than they do have right now. Multiple. The Yankees are already 17-11 as it is. Not a bad record, especially considering the rest of the American League East, except for kind of the Red Sox, kind of, really is just either mid or sucks. They really could be in even better control of this and even just a better record than what they already have. I mean, they're already hugging the best American League record. The Tigers only have them beaten very slightly because they're 18-10. Yankees are 17-11. Just a couple of days ago, the Yankees did have the American League's best record. Since it is early on, these kind of statistics are going to keep flip-flopping as the days go on, of course. But they could be even better than they already are record-wise. If Devin Williams didn't have the meltdowns that he's had, I mean, the Yankees have at least 20 wins already, easily. It's not even a discussion. Even though this is an inflated stat because it's early on as well. I mean, an 11 ERA, well into the 11s. More earned runs than innings pitched. He's just getting slammed out there constantly. And a lot of people are holding the whole facial hair thing against him. Hell, I am too. I mean, it may not seem as big of a deal to people, and we know how I feel about the whole facial hair thing. I actually think the Yankees' change that they made was a good one. The fact that they actually allow a little bit more of leniency with the whole rule, but yet they also don't let it get out of control. I like that. I think they did it perfectly. But I think it's no secret that Devin Williams was a main motivation behind that. We all heard the stories about one of the first things he did upon being traded here was went right to the front office and raised the issue about the facial hair crap. And now he stinks. So, honestly, yeah. I mean, the other night after he blew that game against the Blue Jays again, I remember I put out an Instagram story of, it was a thumbnail of him in the game and the final score on Friday. And I think I said, just get Devin Williams out of my friggin' face. And then once you do that, make him shave. Yeah, I still stick by that. Make the guy shave. I mean, what? He hasn't earned having a beard after being one of the main reasons the rule even changed. He hasn't earned it. Yeah, but all jokes aside, he stinks. He absolutely stinks so far. I'm still absolutely convinced that Pete Alonso absolutely broke him. I said after a couple of his appearances that he looked really bad at the very beginning of the year, sort of jokingly at the time, sort of because I didn't like what I saw, but also realized it was just a couple of appearances at the very beginning of the year. But I did say at the time, I was like, I hope Pete Alonso didn't break this guy. Now it's starting to look more and more with the more appearances that come about and the more he just continues to absolutely suck. I mean, the more that statement becomes a serious one and not so much in a joking manner. I'm really starting to think Pete broke this guy in the wild card round last year. I mean, I don't know what it is. He's not locating at all. He's walking too many guys. His stuff is staying middle and getting absolutely smacked. He's getting shelled. I don't know if part of it is just trying to adjust to the way things are in New York as opposed to Wisconsin. The media and the pressure overall and all that crap is obviously a lot more intense. So maybe it's a bit more of an adjustment to that. Maybe he just really doesn't like how the Yankee Stadium mound is, but hasn't just been the Yankee Stadium mound he's screwed up on. So it can't be totally that, even if it's even a little bit of that. And I know I don't expect the guy to have a smile on his face after each game when he goes out there and makes an absolute fool of himself, but he's looking absolutely miserable. I don't know. It just has not been good at all for him so far. Not at all. It's been really, really bad. I mean, every single time he comes in, I always tell everybody in the house and on Twitter, I'm like, here comes Devin Williams, hold on to your asses. And then he just goes out there and he sucks. The changeup's not working. Fastball can't be located. And they ask him about it, and he doesn't even have any idea what's going on. He's at a complete loss for words like the rest of us are. So I can only imagine how he feels about all of it. Who the hell could possibly know? One thing's for sure, though, and the one comfort in all this is that the Yankees do have a couple of really promising bullpen arms on their ways back, and that provides at least a little bit more comfort, at least for me. But until that happens, despite him being moved out of the closer role, whether you like it or not, the Yankees had better hope that this guy figures it the hell out. They need him. At least as of right now. And they get those couple other arms back like Loaisiga and Cousins and whatnot. They already got Matzik back, which is cool. But until they get some of their other usual reinforcements back to return to the bullpen, They need Devin Williams to figure it the hell out. I don't care what role he has, 7th inning, 8th inning, 9th inning. I don't care. They need him to figure it out. It has been unacceptable so far. He has blown far too many games, even if there's only one official blown save on his record so far. I mean, that doesn't count the Tampa meltdown. That doesn't count all the other meltdowns here in the early going. But he has melted down more than enough. It's been real ugly. And it needs to come to an end. Even the first game of the year, even if he held on to it, he was all over the place for that too. You remember the game? It was against the Brewers. First game of the year. He got out of the inning, but gave everyone a freaking heart attack. The Yankees had a decent lead, and he allowed a lot of base runners, allowed a runner to score, and it was making everybody very nervous. And from there, it has not been easy. Maybe just for one appearance, maybe. That is it. Every other appearance has either at least been an intense heart attack or an utter meltdown. It has been an awful first month as a Yankee for Devin Williams, and he better figure it the hell out. It has been terrible. So that's probably a major problem, if I have to say one of the most major problems the Yankees have, especially from a pitching standpoint, that they've had here in the first month of the year. Because believe it or not, again, just a matter of how fast time goes, we are a month into the season. Not even just because of the amount of games played already. 28 games the Yankees have already played. Can you believe it? It's wild. But the season did start a month ago today on the calendar. March 27th was the first game against the Brewers that they won 4-2. That was a month ago today. So things go fast, guys. It is already a month in. Sample sizes are still a little bit small because of that, but time continues to pass, games continue to get racked up, and that's only going to make statistics more legitimate and reliable. The more games that pile up, as we know, obviously. So that's got to improve massively, and if it wasn't for him, the Yankees would be celebrating a sweep right now, which would be very, very nice, especially as they head on the road to go face yet another American League opponent in the Orioles, the worst team in the division, as a matter of fact. They are 10-17. They are not doing well. So hopefully the Yankees hit the road and have a nice little series there tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday. But it surely would have been nice to finish off this series with a sweep, if not for Devin Williams being an absolute bum so far. I mean, how else can I put it? I don't mean to just relentlessly crap on the guy and stockpile, but I mean, he's been that bad. And I don't see any improvements. One can only hope that being moved out of the closer role will reestablish his confidence. I don't know. I don't know what it's going to take. All I know is that they need him, and he needs to get his act together. It's not Wisconsin anymore, buddy. People are going to be a lot harder, and I know there's a lot of intensity, too. There's a lot of booing at the stadium the other night, and people chanting, "We want Weaver," and that even split the fan base a tiny bit, which was really weird. I mean, there were even some tweets going around saying, like, oh, Yankee fans chanting Weaver, "We want Weaver" is not going to help anything. How can you blame the fans for wanting the better pitcher in the game? Plus, there's a deep attachment to Luke Weaver, who continues to be great. He hasn't even allowed a run yet this year. I mean, this is the guy who carried them in the bullpen for much of the second half of last year throughout the entire postseason closing games, and he's a great personality off the field too, very beloved by the fans. There is a deep established connection there with Luke Weaver. People love him, and he has objectively been the far better pitcher, even though he's had more time here in New York with the Yankees, obviously, than Devin Williams has. But to start 2025, he's objectively been better in the first month here. Why are Yankee fans wrong or dumb or idiotic for wanting the better pitcher in the game? I don't quite understand that. I know it's not really the biggest confidence booster for Devin Williams, but, I mean, he's still got to go out there and do his job. And if you're not going to do your job, people are going to want another person to take that job. And thankfully he has, at least for the time being, because he can't seem to do it lately. It belongs to Luke right now. It actually makes me think back to last year. And I realize that hitting and pitching, when it comes to this comparison, are completely different. I understand that. But the principle of it is still the same. I recall last year when Juan Soto was sitting out at a certain point in the game, and people weren't too happy about that at Yankee Stadium. I recall hearing "We want Soto" chants when our Lord and Savior Trent Grisham was up at bat. And upon hearing this, what did he do? He slacked the ball into right field and hit a home run. And the fans cheekingly said, obviously after that, they started chanting, "We want Grisham," which was super sweet, but that was his answer to it. He did what he had to do. And again, I understand pitching and hitting are completely different, but they are very challenging both in their own rights. And the principle of it remains. Fans chanting something, and the other guy locks in and does what he's got to do. Devin didn't do that. Heard that and folded. You even want to relate it to another pitcher? I can do that too. How about at the George M. Steinbrenner Field appearance? When Oswaldo makes an error, he already has an out in the inning. He only has 2 more outs to go to lock up a 4-run lead and the victory. Instead, he completely falls apart after 1 error. But then in today's outing, and again, starting pitching, relieving, different story, but Max Fried at the very beginning of his outing, throwing error, a bad one by Oswaldo immediately off the bat. Did he let the inning get completely out of control and insurmountable for his team? Did he immediately bury his team? No. Kept the damage to 1 run, kept pressing on, got the job done, kept it at a 1-0 deficit, and allowed his team the opportunity to come back, even after that. Going the rest of his outing, even without the best stuff, still turning in 6 frames of 1-run ball. A lot of it's mindset, guys, and if it's fully mindset for him, and I'm sure it is to a degree because he's still got good stuff, admittedly, then he's got to whip it into shape here. It's time to get going. Bullpen needs you. Come on. Pitch outside of the 9th inning for a while. Get your ass in gear. Maybe take it back someday, or don't. I don't really care. I want the better closer closing out my games. And let's just get it together here. I was really hoping that he, Weaver, and Loizaga would have made a hell of a 3-man monster there at the end of the bullpen, but as long as Williams proceeds to completely suck the way he has, that's not going to happen. But I hope that can change. So that's probably one of the bigger problems for the Yankees, if I had to mention something off rip, in particularly, especially in regards to the series this weekend and what could have happened if not for this guy, and he's been a major topic of discussion lately. As far as the rest of the bullpen, I mean, you have Fernando Cruz kicking into gear now. He started off the season a bit rough, walking a lot of guys, getting tagged up on some pitches, but lately he has been a lot better, much improved in that regard. I mean, people were even talking about him closing some games, and he might still, if there's a night that Weaver needs off, if he's been overused at any point, like, you might see Cruz closing some games out. I'd say he's next man up in that regard with Williams not having the role anymore, and if Weaver is not available for any certain reason, it's probably going to be Cruz. And even next behind him with that Mark Leiter Jr., he hasn't been bad. Really, his major blemish on the season was that Eugenio Suarez grand slam, as Suarez is just continuing to be great. I mean, didn't he just hit 4 home runs in 1 day? It's insane. But that's really his major blemish on the year. You got Tim Hill looking much better lately. He's been real sharp. So that's awesome. So a lot of the bullpen, when it comes to the more important guys, they've been on their game, and Weaver's still kicking ass. Obviously, he's, like I said before, has not allowed to run. So arms like this are great. That's what makes it even more unfortunate that Devin Williams has been as freaking brutal as he has been. And the Yankee bullpen, I mean, yeah, it was shaky a little bit here and there to start the year a couple of weeks ago, that's for sure. But, I mean, they've always been a major strength, and when they're really good, I mean, it's awesome. And they've been so good for years now, so that's what you expect of them. So now it's almost like that old familiar feeling, the fact that lately they've been a lot better, and they've had their reliable sort of back-end guys, like they have had in years past in recent years. You're starting to see that form again here a little bit. Tim Hill's gotten a bit better because he had his rough outings a little bit earlier on. Now he's been better. Mark Leiter's been a little sharper. Fernando Cruz has kicked ass. Luke Weaver has been just fantastic. Ian Hamilton's been back for a while. He's still putting it together, but doing a pretty nice job. Only a couple of runs allowed in between 7 and 8 innings pitched, with 8 strikeouts. I imagine at times there might still be a little bit of an adjustment period because he had a very unorthodox start to the year with that infection that he had. But, I mean, he's even looked pretty good himself. So, yeah, like I said, this main group of guys here, those are really the important names. Really solid. Solid job. So as long as the bullpen continues to get back into shape from where they were in the first couple of weeks when they were blowing some games here and there, I mean, that could only mean more good for the team. So hopefully they continue on that trend. So Not much bad to say about the bullpen from the last couple of weeks, to be honest. It's really when they've started to get more into gear, with the exception of Devin Williams, who's been absolutely abhorrent, as we know. So, other than that, thumbs up for the bullpen the last couple of weeks, if I had to say. And obviously they have and will continue to have their bad days occasionally. They're still human beings. Nobody's perfect. That goes for everybody. But it's for the ones who are, consistently terrible, like Devin Williams, that should be spoken about. And there should be some concerns surrounding them. But as far as these guys who do their job more often than not, then you just chalk it up to a bad day and you move on. So, bullpen, hopefully continue on the trend that you have the last couple of weeks. Starting pitching. Now this, I did not expect to come into this episode with this talking point, but I am very happy that I can. Now, this is proof that some guys listen to my podcast. Particularly Carlos Rodon. I'll start there because I feel it's only fair. Oh, damn, that was actually a clean rhyme. That was a bar. Why, thank you. But, yeah, Rodon is definitely the main guy I got to start with here because in episode 254, all you got to do is give a simple listen back to catch it. You can't miss it. I absolutely tore Rodon to shreds. And you know what? Justifiably so as a last time because, how often has Rodon just completely screwed the pooch in his time as a Yankee so far? He has just stunk more often than not, in my opinion, and the opinions of most people because it's really a fact. He did have his handful of months, especially in the first half last year. He was really good. 2023 was a complete and utter disaster between injuries and then how bad he was after that, so 2023 is a lost cause for year one for him. Last year in the first half, he was really good in the first 2.5 to 3 months or so. And then in mid-June, all the way through to mid to late July, he was an absolute train wreck. And he was up and down for the last couple of months and up and down in the playoffs. Okay, whatever. And then to start this season, up until his last 2 starts, there have been a lot of times where, Aaron Boone and a few other boneheads out there will say, a lot of the time he's throwing the ball good, just had some bad luck every now and again. No. Giving up home runs when he can't afford to, and just not pitching well when he has to. Just has not come through. And a lot of the starts to start this year have been very aggravating. So, listen, a lot of his time as a Yankee has been really bad. And very frustrating, especially considering how great he was before coming here. Whether it be the White Sox or the Giants, he had so many good times, whether it be the no-hitter or a 300 strikeout season. And you expect at least some of that here, and there have been so many starts, so many when we just have not seen that Carlos Rodon. And it's extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating. And so I blew a little bit of a gasket a couple of weeks ago, but it was also very fresh because we were coming off of a game where he allowed some crucial home runs, and it was right after it ended. So I let off some steam. I did. I tore him apart. I thought it was pretty justifiable, but I guess he's also one of the Yankees who listens to my show because the last couple of starts he's been great. That's the way it goes. So, you're welcome. That's all I could really say. But, yeah, the last couple of starts, Carlos has been awesome. No home runs allowed.
Holy crap!
That's right, Frank Barone. You heard me correctly. 0 home runs allowed.
Holy crap!
Yeah, it's so unbelievable that Frank Barone even has to say holy crap twice. No home runs allowed last couple of outings. In his outing against Tampa on the 18th, he went 6 shutout innings. He did walk 4 guys, but listen, I got to take wins where I could get them. I'll take this start every day of the week and twice on Sunday. 6 shutout innings while walking those 4 batters, only 2 hits, and struck out 9 guys. That's what I want. Again, decrease the walks, but in all fairness to Carlos Rodon, that is a universal Yankees pitching problem. I am just convinced at this point that Yankee pitching, even in good times, just cannot go to sleep without the threat of having night terrors if they do not walk multiple guys in a game. I'm just convinced of it at this point. But you take that start every time, and then the one after that, just a few days ago, on the 23rd, against Cleveland, in Cleveland, another start you take every single day of the week and twice on Sunday. 7 shutout innings, 4 hits, 2 walks, and 8 strikeouts. You take it every time. No home runs allowed once again for Rodon, which is huge because we all know how important it is for him to give up that obligatory homer, for God's sakes. So it is important to mention he has pitched his last 13 innings without allowing a run. It has driven his ERA down to 3.5, right on the dot. And it has very much improved his numbers, which is definitely also a part of the entire discussion of it being early, but he has been much better the last couple of outings. In his outing in Cleveland, there was a run given up while he was in the game, but it was an unearned one, thanks to an unacceptable error by Cody Bellinger in the first inning. But outside of that, no earned runs for him, and don't you worry, we will get to Bellinger once I circle around to the lineup. But I had to start with Rodon first because I think it's only fair with how I absolutely lit him up on episode 254. And I have to acknowledge he has been much better his last couple of outings. It's just the truth. What can I tell you? So, Rodon, much better. In the last couple of outings, at least. Max Fried pitched in Game 1 today. You want to talk about what can I say? Well, what can I say about Max Fried? He just continues to be absolutely terrific. His ERA remains under 1.5. The Yankees have won every start that he has had. Every time he started, they've won. Even when he doesn't have his best, he goes out there, he labors, and he gives the best outing that he could possibly give. That's a trait of a true ace. And today is actually an example of that, because if you remember, at the beginning of the game, even though he certainly wasn't helped along by a silly Oswaldo error, but earlier on in the game, he did not have his best stuff. He was throwing a lot of pitches out of the strike zone. He was laboring. But at the end of the day, he fought through it, and he still managed to go 6 innings of one-run ball, only walking a couple of guys, 6 hits, and striking out 3. He still got through the outing the best he could, still gave 6 quality innings, and that's what an ace does. And with Gerrit Cole out for the year, we said it before the season even started, but it is now ever present, even more so a month into the year here. Max Fried is their ace. And I was saying, especially with the starting pitching having been terrible up until like a week and a half or so ago, can you imagine where they would have been if they had not gotten Max Fried? And I still say that even now with the rotation being a bit more improved in the last week and a half or so. He just continues to be incredible. Even has a hell of a pickoff move, which I'm sure got helped along as he spoke to Andy Pettitte, who has still the greatest pickoff move I have ever seen by a pitcher in my time watching baseball. Talking to him is sure to help that. But, I mean, just overall, terrific. Even Jack Curry was saying it on the S Network today at some point, and I completely agree. Despite it being early, again, got to put that disclaimer before every opinion these days, but despite it being early, if he continues to pitch in any sort of way like this, the way he has been, he will most certainly be representing the American League in the All-Star game later on in the year. Not trying to jinx anything, just telling the truth based off of how he's done. He's 5-0 with a 1.43 ERA in about 38 innings pitched, 33 strikeouts, a whip barely over 1. I mean, he's doing a hell of a job. Hell of a job. They're undefeated when he is on the mound so far, and he is kicking ass. He even flirted with the no-hitter when he pitched at GMS against the Rays on Easter last Sunday, and he's just done a hell of a job. Hell of a job. 6 earned runs in basically 38 innings pitched, 37 2/3. Keep it up, Max. The Yankees need you. In the same breath, though, it really does make me sad because, again, my mind wanders. It's always wandering my mind. That's, chronic ADD symptoms, but it always wanders. And I just imagine what this rotation could have been, the way I was so excited about it on paper before spring training started and injuries started. Just imagine if Gerrit Cole was not injured, how they would be pairing up at the top of that rotation as a 1-2 punch. Oh my God. And it makes me sad, so I try not to think about it because there's nothing I can do about it, nothing anybody can do about it. But it makes me sad. But Max, what can I say? Otherwise, just keep doing what you do. Clark Schmidt, speaking of him, his pitching mate, pitching Game 2 tonight in the second game of the doubleheader. And Clark's been all right. I mean, tonight he did fine, only allowing one run on a solo shot to Anthony Santander in the third inning. Otherwise, 5-inning outing, striking out 6 guys in 5 innings. That solo shot was the only hit he allowed. The only problem that really majorly remains for Clark, and he looked pretty sloppy in Cleveland, mainly because of this too, he's walking a lot of guys. Like I said, Yankee pitching with the walks, it's not even just a Rodon or specifically anybody problem. It's a universal issue with Yankees pitching. Even Boone has said it. That's when you know. The guy who spins even the worst negatives into nonsensical positives, when he acknowledges a negative, that's when you know it's a negative. They walk everybody. So even Clark, he is walking way too many guys, and he's getting himself into a lot of trouble as a result. It's mainly just a matter of whether he's able to escape said trouble as a result of the walks, as to whether or not he has done a good job in a given outing. Today, he did fine, because he was able to escape said walks trouble. In Cleveland, he was not, hence a sloppier outing. In the first outing he had, very nice. So it did work out then, but he's got to cut down on the walks. Other than that, it is nice to see Clark back out there on this mound. Lord only knows that before he returned, they really needed his help. All except for Max Fried. But you get it. So it's nice to see him back out there as he continues to build up. He's approaching about 90 pitches in a start by now, so he's just about fully built up, if I had to say. I think the Yankees would just about agree with that. We should see him climbing towards 100 pitches in some outings, depending on the situation and given these given outings, of course. But we should see more of that going forward as the games continue and his arm continues to get built up, because he himself also had an unorthodox start to the season. Carlos Cookie Carrasco. Now, this one surprises me a little bit because I have absolutely no faith in this guy's ability to pitch at his age. I just think he is far past his prime and he needs to hang him up. But I would be remiss if I, just pretended like in the last few starts we haven't seen some good from him. I still don't expect this to last, and I still think at the first sign of anybody else like Luis Gil returning for potential reinforcements, I think he should definitely be the next one out of the rotation, if I had to say, because I just don't think he's going to have it in him for much more going forward, and I don't want him. I just think that any rotation who has Carlos Carrasco playing a role in it, especially a bigger role, I just think that any rotation that has that is one that's probably in a decent amount of trouble, to say the least. So, otherwise, Carrasco actually has not been too bad lately. Not too bad. I mean, a couple of starts ago, when he was at George M. Steinbrenner Field against Tampa, 4 innings, 4 runs, not great. But otherwise, in the start before that, on the 14th against the Royals, and just a couple of days ago on Friday against the Blue Jays, not bad. Against the Royals, he went 5 innings and allowed only 1 run. Now, let's keep in mind, anyone who had a start against the Royals have had piss-poor hitting for much of the beginning part of the season here, so let's keep that in mind, too. And Tampa, really a scrappier team, got to him a bit more, was not a good outing there. Did not have much going. But then against the Blue Jays the other night, wasn't bad at all. 5 shutout innings, and only allowed 3 hits, 2 walks, and struck out a couple. I have no idea why he was taken out as early as he was. He only had 67 pitches that game on Friday. So I don't know why he was taken out at that point, because unless it was just something that somebody else mentioned that I missed, or something just internally that none of us know about. But I have no idea why Carrasco came out of that game after the 5th inning was done. He was doing a great job. He only had, I think it was like 67 pitches, I want to say. Let me just double check that number just to be sure. Yeah, 67 pitches. And then after that, they brought in Tim Hill, who I certainly have no problem with. Tim Hill's my GOAT, that's for sure. But they brought him in to face a right-handed hitting Vlad Guerrero, which just didn't make any sense to me at the time, and then Vlad took him deep. So, just really weird pitching move there, to nobody's surprise whatsoever by Aaron Boone there. But Otherwise, Carrasco did very well on Friday, and we've been seeing some points of good from him. So hopefully that continues. I mean, I'll take 5 shutout innings from him anytime because I don't expect much of anything out of Carrasco, if I'm being honest. I have a lot of respect for him as a veteran and having pitched in the game for as long as he has, but at this point in his career, I don't expect much from him at all. So if I'm going to get 5 shutout innings, I'll take that every day at this point. So that's where we're at with him, I guess. I just hope that they can just keep getting whatever they can get out of him. That'll be cool with me. And last but not least, Will Warren. He's pretty much the last guy to talk about as of right now with the rotation. But we haven't seen him pitch in a few days. But he is up next to go against the Orioles tomorrow. So we'll see him tomorrow again. But the last time we saw him pitch was on the 22nd against Cleveland. And he did okay in that outing. He looked pretty good. Unfortunately, the Yankees couldn't hold on to that game after that, but his outing wasn't too bad. 5 innings, a couple of runs, a walk and 5 strikeouts, only 3 hits. And 2 of those hits actually came at the end of his outing at the start of the bottom of the 6th before he was taken out and Mark Leiter Jr. came in and everything just sort of went off the rails. The Yankees lost the lead that inning 3-2 and they never got it back. So that and the offense just being dead. So that was a major theme throughout much of the Cleveland series in Cleveland. But nonetheless, still looked fine in that outing up until the very end there. Didn't look that bad. The outing before that in Tampa on the 17th was just awful. I mean, he went an inning and 2/3, only allowed 1 run, but there's a lot more context here. I mean, 4 hits in that time, and he threw so many pitches. And it literally just had to be taken out before he could even finish the second inning. Just all over the place with his stuff, looked absolutely awful. And Will Warren just has those clunkers sometimes. Even if he doesn't give up the runs in quantity, the quality of his stuff is just all over the place. And it is a shame. Like I said, he's just sort of I've always seen him as an undeveloped Michael King. Delivers the way he does, his stuff moves the way King's does, but he's just unpolished sometimes. And he's all over the place. Gets into a lot of trouble with a lot of walks, and it's just no good. Start before that against the Giants on the 12th was okay. Couple of walks, 5 innings, 2 runs, 2 hits. Struck out 6, better outing, but he doesn't go deep into games. Walks too many guys, and when he's sloppy and just doesn't throw strikes, it's very tough to watch him pitch. It is. It's tough. And he's 25 years old now. He's going to be heading into his late 20s before we know it. Not too much from him. There's not a lot of optimism from people that I hear around the Yankees, really, as far as what they're planning to do for him long term, or with him, rather. But, yeah, I don't know. Not too impressed with Warren. I don't think he's awful, but I'm not very impressed. With the outings where he really shows a lot, where he cuts down on the walks and just gets quick outs and doesn't get himself into trouble, I mean, the potential's there and the stuff is there. You see it. But otherwise, he's just not easy to watch pitch. It's very interesting. I don't really... When Luis Gil comes back, and it's not going to be for at least a couple more months, I think. But, because, I mean, he just did start his throwing program today, which is awesome. But he's going to have to get ramped up with that and then basically go through a full spring training. But when he comes back, and I'd say he's probably the last real form of reinforcements for the rotation since Clark is back, unless the Yankees happen to make another move for a starter at some point before or at the deadline. But when he comes back, you're probably going to see, if he's not already jettisoned out before that for whatever reason, probably going to see Warren go before Carrasco, because Warren's got the option, Carrasco doesn't. And you always usually see teams go with the option before the DFAing. So although I would like to see Carrasco probably go first, because I believe in him less overall as a pitcher at this stage of his career, you'll probably see Warren go at that point, which I'll be okay with, I guess. I mean, we'll see what happens over the course of the next couple of months. We're not going to see Luis Gil back for some time, but it's just a point of discussion to think of for the future. But yeah, overall, other than that, the general consensus the last couple of weeks, other than just Max Fried, which makes me very happy to say, starting pitching's been a bit improved. I mean, the Yes Network actually just put this stat up on their lower thirds before during the postgame. 2.62 ERA from the starting rotation in their last 13 games. So in their last 13 games, much more improved. 2.62 ERA in their last 13. And that comes with, again, when it comes to Max Fried, winning every start of his. So who knows what they would do without him. But starters overall, terrific job. You still see your issues now and again, and the Yankees still do have their pitching struggles, even if in the last week and a half or so they've been improved. But they still have their difficulties here and there, and I hope that they could just continue to really stay afloat. The biggest part of it, like I said before, and again, that's why I get on him so hard, when it comes to the pitching, starting in particular, Rodon is a big X factor because you expect a lot out of him. You expected him to really be the third best in a rotation that had Garrett Cole around, but you look to him even more now that he isn't, to really step in and step up the way that you need him to and the way you pay him to if you're the Yankees. A lot of the time he hasn't, but when he does, you see how much more improved things get. A lot of this is just a matter of guys just doing their freaking jobs when the team needs them to. Whether it just be in general or in times of desperation for whatever reason. Just guys need to do their jobs and come through more often than not. Because again, nobody's going to be perfect and be good every time they go out there, but they need to get in gear and wake up. And Rodon's done that the last couple of outings, and you see what kind of difference it makes for the rotation when that happens. I still don't trust Rodon as far as I could throw him, but I give credit where credit is due, even with guys I'm not that big of a fan of. I always have and I always will. And Carrasco will have a good start every now and again. Will Warren will be okay, probably. But the other guys have got to get it done. Fried, and he does get it done. Rodon's got to get it done, and when he does, you see the difference it makes. And Schmidt's back out there to provide some more stability, and you see how much it helps when he's good. He's just got to cut down on those walks. If you get that, you got a good 1, 2, 3, even without Cole. You get Heel back at some point, you have at least a decent rotation. But when it gets exposed is when guys like Rodon are awful. When Schmidt can't get around his walking difficulties. And then that makes you have to rely on guys like Carrasco and Warren some more, things you're not too likely to see. Because Warren still has his troubles here and there, still being on the younger side and just not really being able to lock in his stuff fully yet, and Carrasco being at the stage of his career that he is. So you look to guys like Rodon and Schmidt to stabilize things, especially Rodon. And when they're good, the entire rotation will be all for the better, obviously, because Fried will go out there and do his thing. Even he'll have his clunkers eventually. He's a human being. But you hope that the other guys step up and pick up the slack in times that he might, or even in times that he's not having clunker and he's still doing great. Well, that'll only propel things further in a good direction, right? So that's what it's all about. And lately, you've seen a lot more of that good teamwork and fusion within the rotation more often than not in the last week and a half or so, and you've seen some improvement. Those are good numbers in the last 13 games, and I hope that keeps up because ever since Cole went down and Heel went down and they had some of their bullpen struggles in the last couple of weeks, the Yankees pitching was getting hammered. They were getting exposed. It was not pretty. They just had nothing going. And even now I worry about them. But as long as they keep on turning in outings the way they have lately, more often than not, they'll be okay. Just got to hang in there and just get through this earlier part here without Heel and without any other upgrades potentially at or around the deadline, because that could always be a factor as well. When it comes to the lineup, and I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but this is really the main points of discussion lately, right? So when it comes to the lineup, go through a bunch of different guys, a lot of opinions to be had here. I guess we'll start with today's leadoff man, who, by the way, even before getting to weekly recap in just a bit, did this to start for the offense today. Audio and courtesy of the S Network.
High drive, right center. Going back is Santander. Looking up, see ya. A home run for Grisham.
Give me a hell yeah.
Trent deserves absolutely all of the hell yeahs. He is just a legend. His good start to the year continues. He's batting around 300 still, OPS over 1,000. He has 7 home runs and 14 RBIs. He is just kicking ass. What can I tell you? In 22 games so far, and he's getting so many looks. Boone's rotating things around a lot, as we knew that he would. Whether it be Jason getting an off day or Bellinger getting an off day or maybe Judge DHing, and that allowing the Yankees to play Bellinger in right and maybe Trent in center and Dominguez in left, whether it be all the different scenarios that the Yankees cook up here to get Trent his playing time as opposed to just having him be maybe a late game defensive substitution. He is just doing his thing. On base percentage, too, around just under 400, 385. Slugging because of all the home runs, naturally. 684. And he's just doing a hell of a job. It's cool to see him doing well. And I think the move to the leadoff spot lately has been super interesting. We saw it work out very well today with him leading off the game with a home run. And then also having 2 walks on top of that. But, yeah, I think that's actually something they could go with going forward. I think it's very interesting. He's been very good. As long as he continues to hit like this, it's a good leadoff option for now. Ben Rice. Unfortunately, lately he has come down to earth a little bit. And that's to be expected because he had started off so good up until about a week ago to start the season. He was on a tear, as we know. We couldn't talk enough about it. Unfortunately, in the last couple of weeks, he got hit in the elbow with a pitch. He missed a couple of games, and then when he came back, he hasn't really been the same since. So I hope that elbow's not giving him too much trouble still, and that could possibly be the reason for it, definitely. But that's really sad, if that did nerf him a bit to bring him back down to earth, because it was really fun seeing him tear it up. But you've seen a bit of a difference in the last few games. The last 7 games, he's 3 for his last 21 now. He does still have a home run in that meantime, but his numbers have dipped, and he's come back down to earth a bit. It's sad, but before that, we know how well he was doing. If it is the elbow that's bothering him, I hope that subsides at some point soon, because he was a real important piece to have in the lineup and a lot of fun. And, I mean, you keep on hearing how close Stanton's getting, so if Ben Rice comes a little bit too far down to earth, a little too fast to the point where it's more of a crash landing, then at least you'll have Stanton to come back and really hopefully pick up that slack. But hopefully you see Ben Rice figure it out because he's a young kid, a lot of fun, a lot of potential, and he worked really hard this offseason, got bigger. You could definitely tell a lot more improvement to his power, and we've seen that. We've seen a lot of that. So hopefully he gets a bit back on track, but it is a talking point that needs to be mentioned. Something to take note of. We know he couldn't be playing as nuts as he was for the first handful of weeks there forever, but something to take note of that Ben Rice has definitely slowed down lately. And hopefully that turns back around. And if not, worst comes to worst, Stanton will probably be back within the next month-ish or so. And maybe he'll pick up the slack from there. His counterpart at first base, because Ben Rice did get some first base reps today. He's gotten mostly a DH, as we know, but did get some first base reps today. But his counterpart at first base, Paulie Goldschmidt, my guy. He has just continued to kick ass. What a start to the season he has had, man. Oh my gosh. Even if there really is still no power there, really, he still only has the 1 home run. Gets some extra base hits, and he did miss a home run by very, very little off the wall in Cleveland. He did hit a few balls far there, I have to say that. So that definitely helped his slug and thereby his OPS a little bit. But otherwise, he's just putting bat to ball. I mean, what's wrong with that, right? He's doing a fantastic job. Even if he's gotten a few more outs the last couple of days, maybe, his average is still at 365. Now, please keep in mind that this man is 37 years old. Please keep that in mind. So, when I was saying before the season starts that I hope and pray we just get second half, particularly the very end of last season Goldschmidt and not the first half of last season Goldschmidt, we have definitely gotten exactly that. The second half Paul Goldschmidt. And then some, I think it's safe to say. He is just doing great. 1 home run and 10 RBIs, nothing that'll blow you out of the water. But the 365 average and overall just putting bat to ball, I mean, that's important too, man. Drive runs in, get things going, keep the line moving. He's doing exactly that. 38 hits in 104 at-bats. It's really good. I like what I see from him. And even aside from just the hits, he's also just getting on base in general, guys. 417 on base percentage. That's how you do it. His slugging's a little bit lower because, like I said, the extra base hits and the home runs in particular have not been there. So his OPS is 888, which is still very good. But if he had some slug, it'd be even higher than that. It'd be well into the 900s. But you know what? It's still a fine OPS. Terrific numbers otherwise. And he's playing a very nice defense. He's made a couple of hiccups there defensively. But listen, nobody's perfect. He is on the older side. He's 37. And Moreover, everything else, more often than not, he's playing fine defense. You factor that in with the hitting, particularly with his age. I could not possibly be happier with Paul Goldschmidt so far. Really, really amazing first month with him. So happy for him. Unfortunately, on the complete flip other side of things, as far as guys the Yankees just got, we'll stay on the subject of that. Cody Bellinger. Now, this pains me a lot because if you've been listening to me since spring training and even the offseason when the Yankees first announced that they got him in a trade from the Cubs, all the way up till now, or even if you've just been following me on social media and seen me say it on there, this upsets me. I stuck my neck out for this guy so much. I believed in him so much. And I'm not giving up on him. I'm not giving up on him. But I had so much faith in him, and I was so thrilled for him to be here, and I thought he would accomplish so much good and start right off the bat, instantly, no time wasted. And that could still change. A lot of season left. I know that. Again, another disclaimer. It's early. It's April. Yeah, I know. But so far, I can't mince words with you. I can't beat around the bush. I just have to come out and say it. Bellinger has sucked. He has sucked. I can still like the guy and believe that things could change going forward. But whether I like a guy or not, you're going to get the truth out of me objectively. This is how you know I'm honest, as if I already haven't proven it on 85,000 other occasions. But Bellinger has been truly terrible. Mainly good defense, but he's even had a couple of moments in the last couple of weeks where he's made a here and there inexcusable mistakes, even out in the field, which he's not known for. But if you want to even put all of that aside and just talk about his hitting, well, unfortunately, there is a lot of material there, and it's not the good kind to talk about. He's batting .191 to start, OPS under 600. There are times where he steps up to the plate and goes through an at-bat, and I'm wondering if he even sees the ball coming at him. The approaches have been awful sometimes. You see that with a lot of guys here in this lineup most of the time through the start of this season, but he is one of the worst so far. Again, not saying it can't change. Still believe in him, still thrilled that he's here, and I hope it does change because they need him. But it has tested my patience, and it has been awful. He is not taking his walks, at least as much as I would like him to, and I think it would help him amidst his struggles because his on-base percentage is only .255 with his average just a tick under the Mendoza line, with that being at .191. He has 2 homers, one of which he hit fairly recently, but the other one came opening weekend against the Brewers, so he's had no power in that regard. Very few extra base hits, which doesn't help the OPS, which is already low, obviously, because the slug is lower. And just the strikeouts he has at times, just not seeing the ball, the awful at-bats up and down most of the games. If there's a breaking ball blown away, he rolls over on it. If it's a pitch up high, he'll swing through it. Even if it's right down the plate, he'll take it. I mean, it's just, I wonder if he even sees the ball sometimes. We know that Bellinger has a floor based off of his past seasons. Like right after COVID, he was god-awful. We know he was generationally good in 2019. Then the shortened season came around in 2021. He missed so much time and looked utterly horrendous with a 165 average that year. You know the whole story. It was absolutely horrendous. And in 2022, he was also a nightmare. But then 2023, he was fantastic. In 2024, he was solid. Wasn't great, wasn't bad. He was solid. And you hope to get somewhere in the middle or at least leaning towards 2023, and the Yankees have just not gotten that so far. They've more so gotten the floor of Bellinger, which is very bad. And a lot of people are quick to mention the money he's making. It's a valid point, but it's not all about the money, but it does make things a little bit more frustrating because it was a trade. But he's not earning his money so far. That's for sure. It has been really bad with him. I cannot say enough, unfortunately. And it pains me because I love the guy. I unfortunately cannot say enough how much of a nightmare it has been to watch Cody Bellinger play baseball in the Yankees for the better part of the last few weeks, in the first month here. I'm really hoping that at the tail end of April here, or maybe even the new month of May coming up, that he turns it around and turns over a new leaf. But so far, yikes. In all caps lock. Awful. Judge is Judge. I mean, there's not much more to say in this regard. He should have 9 home runs and 28 RBIs because of what I spoke about earlier in the show, but instead he has 8 and 27. Average is still over 400 as we get ready to head into May. His on-base percentage is 500, so he is on base half the time. So he's definitely taken his walks, obviously, and his slugging to amount to his 1217 OPS is obviously at 717, over 700 still. Just when you think, like, just as he accomplishes something that only some of the other greatest hitters who ever lived accomplished, or maybe even not even them. Like, perhaps they couldn't even do it, but Judge does it, and then it has you saying, you can't possibly get a season where he does anything better than that. And then he does. It's just incredible. It just leaves you in awe what he is capable of and what he does. I don't really know what else I could say about it. It's extraordinary watching this guy play. I know he does what he does in the playoffs. I'll be the first to mention that despite my absolute love for the guy, and a lot of other people will be very quick to mention it, especially those guys constantly, completely irrationally chanting overrated at the guy, despite how much they like to say it. I mean, when it comes to this sort of thing in this time of the year, basically the regular season, when it comes to actually helping them get to said postseasons, there's just nobody better. Basically in the history of baseball at this point in many regards. It's just amazing. What else can you say about the guy? Throughout the rest of the season, just as a reminder, I will be putting in asterisks or parentheses or both or anything of that sort on social media every time he hits a home run because of how he was screwed out of one last weekend in Tampa on Easter. The clearest fair ball called foul we will ever probably see. I will always be sure to mention that he has one more than what the scoreboard says as of 2025. And just a reminder, in case people forgot this, because this is 8 years ago already, believe it or not, so I wouldn't be surprised if some did. But in case you forgot, this is not the first time that Judge has had a home run taken away from him in his career on an obvious replay. Does anybody remember that game at Yankee Stadium against the Cardinals in 2017? I'm pretty sure it was. Even if I have the opponent wrong, the location is correct and the year is correct. I know that for a fact. 2017, he should have had 53 home runs. It was a ball that snuck into the stands. They reviewed it, and they did not get the call correct. It was a home run. They said it wasn't. This is now 2 career home runs that Judge has had taken away from him that were clearly home runs. Even more so this one in 2025, but that's now 2. Even if it's 8 years ago, I have it locked in, and I keep track. I don't forget this crap. So Judge has 8 home runs now this year, should have 9. And now in his career, he has 323. He should have 325. So the pettiness is there, and I am not ashamed of it. So Judge is Judge. What can I tell you? Jazz Chisholm Jr. This guy's head is up his ass. I don't really know how else to say it. I've said it so many times the last few weeks, and I'm just saying it again here. Jazz, I don't know what the story is with him, man. He is a bizarre baseball player. We know from the past that he has a lot of talent. He's solid. And we saw in the second half from when they picked him up at the deadline all the way through to the end of the year, we saw how good he can be and is. But then in the playoffs, he just vanished, disappeared into thin air. And he has done basically the same for much of the early going here outside of opening weekend, because he killed it along with the rest of the Yankee team against the Brewers at Yankee Stadium opening weekend. Since then, for the most part, vast majority, he has again just disappeared into thin air. He has been terrible I mean, in his last 15 games here, he's 9 for his last 49. And I don't know what this deal is with him, but, I mean, of those 9 hits, 3 of those were homers. I mean, in his last 30 games, which is basically the entire year so far, he's 18 for 101 at-bats. And 7 of those 18, which is more than a third of those, are home runs for his total 7 homers so far. 3 out of his last 9 hits in his last 49 at-bats, homers, about a third of it. I don't know what Jazz's deal is, but he seems to be overly reliant on the home run now. And as much as home runs are great and fun and nice, especially when they're happening in bunches, in a long span of multiple players, if it's all that you're relying on and this is the outcome on an individual basis, I'm going to need you to change things up, my guy, because it ain't working out. You're not a power hitter. You may run into a few inevitably every now and again as a professional baseball player, but this is not the outcome that I want. I don't want a 178 average and a 300 on base percentage if you're going to be relying on the home runs. Just for a little bit more of an uptick in home runs, I guess. A little bit, maybe. It's not worth it if I'm getting barely a 300 on base percentage. If you're at 300 or under, it's not working out. Especially with someone of his speed. And he's been getting thrown out on the bases lately too, and he's just not locked in defensively too. He's made a bunch of dumb plays in the field. He'll get to a ball nicely and just screw up the throw. Same thing with his counterpart up the middle there in Anthony Volpe sometimes. Like, he'll make a terrific play to get to a ball, but then just screw up the throw. And I'll get to Volpe in a minute. But Jazz is just, he plays like he doesn't pay attention. And the Yankees had enough of that at second base the last bunch of years. We don't need that again. I mean, the diminished hitting, even for maybe a slight uptick in homers, it's not worth it. He's not walking enough. He's not getting hits enough. Not putting bat to ball. Ugly strikeouts. Not even running the bases as well as he could necessarily. Just loses concentration there sometimes. There and in the field on defense. And second base is his primary position. I thought he'd show a lot more promise there. And I know he has talent. That's what irritates me and why I go after certain guys who have the talent. I know they do. And they just play like they don't. Doing stupid things. I mean, everybody has their bad days. But again, when it happens more often than it should, and you know that they're better than that, it's very frustrating. He's played a very good second base in the past. What the hell's going on? He and Volpe will make some nice plays up the middle together at times, but individually, especially with Jazz, I mean, he just does stupid things. It's like he's not paying attention. And the Yankees keep batting him right in the middle of the lineup, like fourth and fifth. As long as the lineup as a whole is struggling, as they have been for a lot of these last 2 weeks at times, it makes it tough to figure out many other solutions or spots to put these guys in. But my God, can we do something with Jazz here? It ain't happening with him. It's just not. The only reason the OPS is even at 700 is because of those home runs earlier on. That's the slugging carrying it. It ain't the on-base percentage. It's barely creeping over 300. It's at 300 on the nose right now. Which got helped a little bit because he got a hit in the second game today. But otherwise, my God, it's been frustrating to watch Jazz play baseball. Same thing with Volpe, man. And this weekend against the Blue Jays, he looked a little bit better after the Yankees finally had an off day on Thursday because he had played so many games in a row. But, I mean, before just this weekend, and it was a major point of discussion on all of social media, mainly by me, honestly. I was just crapping on the kid. I'll be honest about it. I mean, I've been very hard on Volpe. And the reason why, and I don't know why I keep on having to repeat the reasoning for this. The reason why is that this is year 3. And at this point, since Volpe has come up to this point, now being 1 month into year 3, much of what we have seen in the first month of year 3 has been unacceptable. This weekend, improved and good. We need that. We want that. But I get on guys more, very similarly to the reason I gave with Jazz before. When I see at certain points in the past that they have the talent to be successful and they go out there for extremely long periods of time and just do the complete opposite of that, especially when they have the world by the cojones like Volpe has. That job is his. He is not being replaced there at shortstop. He's the golden boy. It belongs to him. You have the attention, the anticipation, the expectations around you that he has. And before this weekend, just in the last couple of games, I need to see a little bit more of it sustained over a longer period of time to really believe. But, I mean, before this, for the vast majority of his young career now, it just has not been there, and he has not shown what he's capable of. What we saw what he's capable of, like in the first month of last year, which is really the only major outburst that we've seen from him, and it was beautiful. Remember how much fun I and everybody else was having at the start of last year with it? Seeing like, wow, this is his max potential. The defense has always been there. Yeah, he makes his dumb mistakes. A lot of plays where he does the harder part of the play, like get there unbelievably, make a nice sliding play on his ass or just with an all-out dive, and then just maybe botches a throw, which is weird to me. He does that sometimes, but otherwise, terrific defender. I'm not going after him in that regard. So, I mean, a lot of people like to associate with like, oh, the defense. It's not what I'm talking about. And I even had a guy mention to me the other day, oh, shortstop's a defense first position. What are you getting so fired up about? He's a great defender, and he does that primarily at shortstop very well. I am aware of that. That's not what I'm judging. But a part of baseball is hitting, whether you like it or not. And he doesn't do that. I mean, before this weekend, what did he come into this weekend as? Like 7 for his prior 52 or something like that? And we've seen so much of that for much of the year. Except for every now and again when he happened to hit a home run. The home run in Game 1 today, when the Yankees were already up 6-1. That was his first home run since April 2nd. So that hadn't even happened in almost a full calendar month. The strikeouts, the whiffs on fastballs right down the plate, or maybe just a little bit elevated in the strike zone, getting fooled on everything, not taking his walks when he should. Just not doing what he's supposed to do, not living up to the potential. I blame a lot of it on the Yankees organization for the unbelievable pressure and expectations they put on certain kids coming up. And sometimes it just ends up being wrong. And how they dig their heels in on certain matters, like people say Volpe usually does better when he's played too many games in a row and needs an off day. You give him that off day and he usually does better. We've seen a slight example of that this weekend. But you didn't see the Yankees doing that when he was struggling even through the Cleveland series. They just wouldn't give him a day off. Why? He stinks right now. Do anything you can to help him. The Yankees need him. But it's just very, like at the start of this week, I remember, for weeks now, he's just been whiffing, like, on fastballs right down the middle, and I would put on Twitter, like, great, Anthony Volpe can't hit a Major League fastball now. And that's really just what it's been like lately. He's totally lost up until this weekend, batting under 200. On-base percentage, awful. And I'm not really fully throwing the towel in on him until this season's done, as we know, because I want to give him that full third year, but I mean, 1 month in before this weekend, the patience has been running out. I hope we see the better gameplay continue beyond just this weekend. He doesn't just drop dead again. But, I mean, before this weekend has been unacceptable, guys. Starting to run out of patience a little bit. It's year 3. Use what you want to defend him, and they go, oh, they're making the league minimum. You're lucky to have that. I'm not talking about money. Maybe it makes a difference to you, but I'm just talking about objectively, player performance-wise, aside from money, aside from defense. We know he's making league minimum. He's still under team control, that's why. He hasn't even hit arbitration yet. And the defense is there. I'm not judging any of these things. But they need the offense. They need the offense. Because we see up and down this lineup how frequently they tend to have poor approaches at the plate, and he's been a big part of that lately. That needs to change. On a lot of days, and Wells too, for much of the time, Wells just has not been it offensively for the vast majority of the first month here. I mean, the last couple of weeks, you'd just be lying straight through your teeth if you say you didn't feel this way. A lot of games, Jazz, Volpe, Wells, or wherever they're arranged in whatever order, they have been one right after the other in a lot of lineups of late. And you just felt like those three together, just a black hole. And then Bellinger being at the top, just interrupting the flow of guys like Rice or Grisham and Judge and Goldschmidt. And then Bellinger would be right in the middle of them, just throw a monkey wrench right in the middle. Guys like this, it's just like, oh my God, guys, you're bringing it down. Volpe's too important. He needs to continue what he's done this weekend. I'm glad to see it, but I expect a lot of him. We've seen what he's capable of defensively, offensively. We know the talent is there. That's why when he does boneheaded crap or goes through these long, sustained periods of just misery, it's very frustrating. Because the talent's there. Where is it? Why aren't the adjustments happening? Who isn't helping this kid to make these adjustments? Because I feel like throughout his entire young career so far, the only really great period we've seen from Volpe was that first month of last year. And then the league clearly adjusted. He went off of his two-handed swing approach, and things just went off the rails. He hasn't been like anywhere close to that in the same universe since then. Much of his young career has been the numbers that we've seen. For his career so far in total, 228 average. On base percentage, under 300. It's not good, especially for a player of his speed too. That's another thing. He'll get thrown out stealing bases more often now. Or he's just not stealing as much as he should despite his speed. So part of it's the Yankees, absolutely. But another part of it is him having to adjust and just lock the hell in already. At least show maybe half of what we all know you could be, Anthony. What the hell already? I only hope it continues on the pace that we've seen this weekend. I mean, it's been so frustrating watching him play sometimes. It really has been. Sometimes, most of the time. I don't want to be too nice. Because when he plays the way he has for the vast majority of the first month here, and given the fact that's a lot of what we've seen from him for basically most of his young career, again, mainly except for the first month of last year and maybe the couple of weeks after the All-Star break last year. Other than that, what we've seen from Volpe for the vast majority of the first month here is really what we've seen from him the vast majority of just his career so far. And the more it happens, the more everyone's thoughts, including my own, unfortunately and very sadly creep towards, is this just what he is? As a major leaguer, at least, because you knew it was a different story in the minors, but as a major leaguer, is this just what he is? He had points of positivity in the postseason, that grand slam in the World Series. He had a lot of walks in the playoffs as a whole. He was just getting on base a lot. He had his bad moments too. But, I mean, for the vast majority of the time, this is just what we've seen. And I hope it continues on this weekend so my thoughts of that can be shoved off some more. I don't want this to be what he is. Otherwise, the Yankees are in deep trouble here. They put a lot of eggs in this basket, turned a lot of guys away. And again, that aspect and all those things, that's not Anthony's fault. Again, I blame those things on the Yankees as an organization. It's important to make that distinction. But that doesn't change the fact that Anthony Volpe is a factor in this equation, and we need him to be better for more sustained periods of time. Whether you like it or not, whether you're a supporter of his or not, you know it's there. That capability, that talent, because we've seen it come out before, but where the hell is it? And why, when it goes away again, are adjustments just clearly not made? Why can't he adjust, and why can't the people around him help him better? These are the questions constantly on mine and a lot of other people's minds. And I hope it happens for him like we saw it this weekend, because it's got to get better. It has to. Because even with his good weekend, his numbers are still not great. I mean, his WRC plus, I know a lot of people are quick to mention that. It's not bad. It's a bit above average. But other than that, there have not been many other stats other than WAR, I guess, which, I mean, given how Anthony Volpe's done and WAR still said that he is really solid, I mean, that doesn't do a lot of good for the WAR stat because it runs counter to just basically about every single other metric just about. But again, my analysis of this is just from an offensive standpoint. WAR will include defense and factors like that. But I just need to see better because even amidst this weekend, the numbers still aren't quite there. That's when you know it's just been bad. So I need better out of Volpe. Continue what you did this weekend. That's all I could say. Do that, continue the defense, and that'll be enough, I guess. But I am starting to think that asking for maybe like between a 260 and a 270 average might be a bit too much to ask. But nonetheless, I need better. Jason, I could say similar things about. The defense has been better than I expected in left field. Still definitely make some awkward plays here and there, but it's been better than expected. The offense hasn't quite come together fully yet, but again, I'm more lenient on him because this is really his first full shot at a season. Came up late in 2023 and then spent much of 2024 injured, or just not getting the playing time he deserved over a bum like Alex Verdugo as of last year. But this is really the first full crack at it he's getting. He's still only 22 years old. 21 just turned 22 recently. So just trying to be patient with him. We do still see a lot of positives out of him every now and again. Had a big hit today to add on to a very slim Yankee lead at the time in Game 2. So just hope to see more and more from him as time goes along, but just being patient with him. Austin Wells, like I mentioned before, I don't know. He's not doing it for me either so far. Could change. Hope it does, because I very much like Wells as a person. I think he's hilarious. He's a lot of fun. Just seems like an overall very nice guy, so I hope for the best for him, but have not been impressed with the bat, especially against the left-handers, but most of the time just has not done much. Had a pretty good weekend with the bat, but overall in the first month, not much done at all. Defense, at times he's good, but at times he's also not. It's just, I don't know. Certain days I'll be very happy with him, and other days I'm just like really annoyed with him, and it'll just contribute to that middle of the lineup black hole that we've seen a lot of the time with Jazz and Volpe, and then, you know, Bellinger will be on the same scale as them, as just doing awful. So just frustrating, but hope he continues to find his way. JC Escara, I'm really happy he had the game that he had today, 2 for 4 with his first big league home run. So again, congratulations to him, and he's just playing whenever Wells needs some time. And it's good to know that they have at least a decent option back there. Doing okay defensively. Pitchers can't have enough good things to say about him. And had himself a nice day today, that's for sure. So that's awesome. Love that. Not going to do anything crazy, as, you know, backup catchers usually don't offensively. But you like to see some spurts where they do something real cool like today, and just capable defense, which I think he provides. So it's cool. And Oswaldo at third base. Offensively, he's been fine, I guess. I mean, he puts the bat to ball nicely, and I think he rounds off the lineup nicely. Whenever he does something, he does a good job at hyping up the rest of the team. Only thing is, really weird thing I've seen from him lately that I have to say and really critique, his throws to first from third lately have been really freaking bad. I mean, you saw it in the first game earlier today. I don't know, his throws have just been really bad to first lately, so I hope he fixes that up. Otherwise, it's going to be really interesting to see what happens when guys like DJ come back. And when it comes to how certain guys have been hitting in the lineup, I was saying this before, and we'll mention this a little bit more in news when we talk about that. But, I mean, DJ could be in an interesting spot here. I'll talk more about that later when it comes to how the infield has been, certain guys there. But otherwise, that's really my overall prognosis on much of the Yankees lineup right now. Some good. Definitely a decent amount of bad, but it's led to lots of ups and downs. More pros than cons as far as their record the last couple of weeks, like I said, because if you want to go back to the last time we spoke, they just got pounded by the Giants at the time. Then they had the Royals come to town, and they swept them out, so that was good. Won 3 out of 4 against Tampa at GMS, and probably should have swept them in 4 if not for, again, Devin Williams. I'm saying it's how much of a difference he's actually made in the Yankees' record. At least 2 or 3 games, which is a big difference. Then in Cleveland, they lost that series. Definitely should have won and held on for Game 2, or at least even added on some more runs than they did and gotten the win there. Eked out a victory in Game 3 on Wednesday, and then this weekend they had a much better series. Again, would have swept if not for Devin Williams. So, more good than bad, but the bad is there and it's frustrating, but went through it each on an individual basis. But speaking of the games, why don't we do a brief recap in detail of the games in the last couple of weeks since we last spoke, going back to the first game of the Royals series, which brings us very nicely into weekly recap. And I know that I spent a lot of time talking about each player individually, but I figured, especially since there's no social media today, gave me a little bit more time to go even more in-depth on just about legit everybody. So, why don't we get into weekly recap and discuss the games in particular? Fire up that Yapping Yankees time machine. Let's do it. All right. So we go back to the Royals series after the Yankees got done with the Giants, thank God. And I had a good feeling about this series because, like I had mentioned earlier on in the show, the Royals just have really no offense, so I felt good about it initially, and I was right to do so because the Yankees did end up getting the sweep. It's definitely a good team to get to help reestablish confidence after a little bit of a mess of a series against the Giants there. But they did get the Royals, and it was a good game for them. Starting this game was Carrasco. He did give up only 1 run in 5 innings, like we had mentioned before when I was talking about him. 2 walks, 4 Ks, did a nice job. Bullpen brought it home after that. The Royals were the first ones to get on the board against him, though, in that 3rd inning, but then the offense took control after that when Jazz homered for his 6th time of the year. In the bottom of the 4th, to tie it at 1 solo shot. Then our GOAT, Trent Grisham, hit a solo shot to make it 2-1, take the lead in the bottom of the 5th, followed by a solo shot by Ben Rice and Austin Wells. So 3 solo shots in that bottom of the 5th inning, giving the Yankees a 4-1 lead. Bullpen in Cruz, Tim Hill, Weaver, and Devin Williams was one of his only good outings of the entire season. Brought it home for the 4-1 victory. Good way to start that series. And actually, Devin wasn't too sharp in that outing because he did still allow a couple of base runners, Bobby Witt on a hit, and then Salvador Perez walked as well. Just lucky he got Michael Garcia to line out pretty sharply to Bellinger and left, I guess. But nonetheless, good start to the series. They would move on to Game 2. It's actually a funny scoring trend here that I'm just now recalling upon looking at these scores. On Monday, they won 4-1. Tuesday, they won 4-2. And Wednesday, they won 4-3. It's pretty funny. So Tuesday, with the 4-2 victory, the Yankees had Fried start this game. Another terrific outing by him, 6 2/3, only 2 runs allowed, 5 hits, 2 walks, and 7 strikeouts. So beautiful start by Fried, earning his 3rd victory in the meantime, with Weaver and Devin Williams locking it up. This was really Devin Williams' lockdown performance of the entire year, pretty much. This and maybe one other. But he would end up getting his 3rd save there. On that one, not allowing any base runners. How about that? That's a first, right? But the Royals, actually, in a similar trend to the first game, did get on the scoreboard first against Fried in the 3rd inning when MJ Melendez hit a solo shot and then Bobby Witt Jr. hit an RBI double to make it 2-0. But then similarly to Game 1 as well, later on the Yankees would come back doing much of their work in 1 inning. Austin Wells walked with the bases loaded in the 6th, and then Jason Dominguez cleared the bases on a 3-run double right after that down the left field line, driving everybody home. Jazz, Volpe, Wells driving everyone home. And a lot of struggling hitters all scoring at once there. And Jason getting one of his very few hits from the right side of the plate. Jason, more often than not, it's another thing I should mention with player evaluation. Very weak from the right-handed side of the plate, hitting more often than not. But over here, he came through. He actually accidentally clocked himself in the back of the head on the backswing. But still got the job done. Gave the Yankees a 4-2 lead. And like I mentioned before, Weaver and Devin miraculously brought the victory home. And yeah, all the more impressive by Devin actually having an easy inning there. Pretty sure that might be his only 1-2-3 appearance. Without checking on that, and getting on that for sure, getting accurate information, but I wouldn't be surprised if that was his only one. And he did show some hype there, so I was really hoping that was a turning point for him, but it was not. Anyway, Game 3, again, the Royals would score first off of Clark Schmidt. This was his first start back, so it was nice to see Clark back. Gave up that first run in the first inning. So again, similarly to the first two games, Royals jumped out in front first. Salvador Perez RBI single. But then the Yankee offense came back once again. Volpe got a 2-run double, one of his only hits before this weekend in a long time, because again, he was just doing awful. But 2-run double gave the Yankees a 2-1 lead. And then Cody Bellinger, with one of his very few hits of late too, hit an RBI double to make it 3-1. And then Clark would give up his other 2 runs of his 3 on his ledger for the night. Kyle Isbell hit an RBI triple, followed by Jonathan India driving him home on a groundout after that to tie the game at 3. So that would put an end to Clark's first outing, 2025 debut, 5 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And then Mark Leiter Jr. and Fernando Cruz would pitch shutout 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. Fernando Cruz getting the 6-out save, actually, with Devin unavailable, so that was awesome to see. After Judge gave the Yankees a 4-3 lead with a solo shot in the bottom of the 7th, his 7th home run of the year at the time. And that gave the Yankees a 4-3 victory and the sweep over the Royals. So feeling good heading to George M. Steinbrenner Field to face the Rays for a 4-game set. And this series was just as interesting as I anticipated it to be. Yankees playing a road game at GMS. That was funny. So Will Warren led off this one, starting pitching-wise. And this was the outing that I was talking about earlier where he was just terrible. The 2 walks in under 2 innings and just throwing so many pitches, getting himself into completely unnecessary trouble. 4 hits, 1 run, and 1 strikeout. The line may not look bad as far as the things he gave up, but I mean, the inning and 2/3 just tells the whole story. And the amount of pitches that he threw, my God. I mean, he was awful. Threw 53 pitches, 5 outs. Terrible outing by Warren. So step back there, unfortunately. And Yarbrough had to come in and pick up the slack as good as he could for 2 innings and 2/3. But even he gave up 6 hits in the meantime with a walk and 2 runs. He's been iffy too. So it's been weird, but a lot of back and forth action throughout the game. But the Yankees fortunately took control ultimately offensively in the end. And Tim Hill, Ian Hamilton, and Devin Williams stabilized things, thankfully, after that. So here's actually the other scoreless appearance for Devin Williams. So there that is, his 4th save. But they together, after all that, stabilized things while the Yankee offense went to work. They did jump out in front first on the top of the first, RBI single by Judge. And then when they were down 3-1, they really went to work after that. Waldo with his first home run of the year, solo shot. Bellinger ground into a force out, drove home Goldschmidt. Jason Dominguez, force out of his own, drove home Jazz to make it 4-3, and then Ben Rice, 2-run single, made it 6-3. Yanks get the 6-3 win to start the series. Friday, well, this game was actually pretty uneventful. Only one run was scored the entire game by either team on a Trent Grisham RBI single in the top of the 2nd, and the Yankees would get the 1-0 win. How about them apples? So Rodon started this game. This was the first of his last 2 starts that I mentioned earlier in the show. That was just really good. Terrific. Except for the 4 walks, but other than that, great. 6 shutout innings. Leiter, Cruz, Weaver. Shut down after that. Bullpen continues to be locked down. Great. Yankees win 1-0. Straight to the point, right? Saturday wouldn't be nearly as silent, I'll say. So this game was just pure chaos, a lot of back and forth action. Starting this game for the Yankees was Carlos Carrasco. This was the game where he just didn't have it. 4 innings, 4 runs, 6 hits, like I said before. The bullpen actually, except for Devin Williams and Gomez ultimately in extras, which shouldn't have even been a thing, thanks to Devin Williams. But other than that, the pitching was fantastic in the bullpen before that by Hamilton, Leiter, Weaver, but then it just all fell apart after that. The offense did all they could, at least earlier on in the game, and then they just couldn't score after the bottom of the ninth because, who could blame them? They probably felt like their job was done after they gave Williams an 8-4 lead with 3 outs to get. But it wasn't. And they very frustratingly ended up losing in extras. But they did end up getting the scoring started right away in the first inning. Goldschmidt drove home a run on a double play ball, and then Jazz got an RBI single to make it 2-0. Trent hit another home run, because why not? He's goated. So top of the second, solo shot made it 3-0. And the Rays crept back a little bit, made it 3-1, but then the Yankees jumped out further. Aaron Judge with a 2-run single made it 5-1. Wells sac fly 6-1. Then the Rays came way closer, made it 6-4. Yankees jumped out again. Top of the ninth, Judge RBI single, Goldschmidt RBI single to give them that insurance, but it would matter not. Because Williams gets the first out, and then after an error by Oswaldo, that's all it took for him to fold like origami. And listen, I know the error didn't help, but you only have 2 more outs to get at that point with still a 4-run lead. Get the freaking job done, will you? Chandler Simpson, RBI double. Yandy Diaz, RBI single. And then Brandon Lau, the game-tying 2-run single that just made all of us go mental. And then the bottom of the 10th, Jonathan Aranda hit the walk-off 2-run shot off of Yoendris Gomez, who came in for the 10th, and just an inexcusable loss for the Yankees. And the only thing standing in their way of what would have been a sweep, which is a real shame. Fried gets the ball in Game 4 on Sunday, last Sunday on Easter, and he was terrific. Flirted with the no-hitter again until the 7th, technically the 5th, because they called what was originally an error by Goldschmidt. They ended up calling it a hit because they said he would have beaten it to the base even if Goldschmidt made the play. Well, if you can change calls based off of that merit, then why, may I ask, was the error that Oswaldo made in the first inning of the first game today, why was that a single and an error instead of just an error? Because if you want to say, oh, well, he would have or wouldn't have had the play been made properly, well, he definitely would have been out if Oswaldo just made that good throw to first today. So why was that in any way a hit and not just an error? It's not only the umpires and the reviewers who are on crack. The official scorers a lot of the time are too. They're just awful sometimes. Some of their calls don't make any sense. But they made that change, so then Fried's no-hitter got dialed back to the 5th, despite all of us in the 7th inning on pins and needles just really excited to see him still have a no-hitter. They're like, oh, actually, we changed that earlier, so technically his no-hitter ended in the 5th inning. Go screw yourself. So anyway, regardless of any of those shenanigans and the Judge awful call with the home run, Fried was amazing. 7 2/3 shutout, 2 hits, 2 walks, 2 Ks. We talked about it before. Cruz finished off the game very nicely. Did walk 3 guys because, who doesn't walk guys in this Yankee team? But nonetheless, no runs scored. Yanks got the 4-0 win on another Trent Grisham home run in the first inning. An RBI on a force out by Bellinger. And then a home run by Bellinger, only his second of the year. That was his other home run other than the one on opening weekend. And then Wells hitting a solo shot of his own in the top of the 9th. So should have been 5-0, and Judge should have had his 8th home run of the year on this day instead of today. We mentioned that. Again, I posted it all over social media just to make fun of the reviewers and the umpires to emphasize that call, that home run call, or I guess lack of home run call, was just, I mentioned the word before already in the show, abhorrent. That doesn't even begin to describe. On the replay, the ball was, I've never seen a more obvious fair ball in my life. It went into the trees, and it was by far in fair territory to the right of the left field foul pole. They say, oh, it's tough at a minor league ballpark because maybe they didn't get the camera views and the foul pole isn't as tall as a major league ballpark. Well, first of all, why aren't the cameras set up properly for any scenario of that sense? That's pretty basic, determining a fair or foul ball down the line. Why isn't that set up? And why do the reviewers not have potentially a view that the television network has? And if the size of the foul pole is the problem, then why are you allowing a major league team to play there? I know it's kind of a last-minute emergency sort of a thing because the hurricane destroyed the roof of Tropicana Field, but what the hell, man? Just weird. and disgraceful, honestly. I mean, it wouldn't have taken away like a save statistic because it was a 4-run lead. The Yankees clearly were going to win that game regardless of that home run. It wouldn't have changed the game's outcome scoring-wise. So I don't know why they couldn't just change that for Judge and make it 5-0 as opposed to 4-0. The save statistic would have been the same for Cruz, and just give Judge the home run he deserves so he has 9 right now. I don't get what the big deal is in that regard. Make the right call after the fact if you must. Just weird stuff, man. But nonetheless, Yankees won the game and took the series. Could have very well been a sweep if not for Williams. That kind of stunk, but whatever. Very nice series nonetheless on the whole. And the offense did a pretty nice job. They would go on to Cleveland after this. Schmidt started this game, like I mentioned before, got himself into a lot of trouble in the 3rd and 4th innings, and the Yankees unfortunately would not recover from that. A lot of blown scoring opportunities, just quiet offense up until the end, when they actually managed to score 4 runs in the 7th and 8th innings. Jason Dominguez hit his 2nd home run of the year, 2-run shot in the 7th, and Jazz did the same for his 7th homer of the year in the top of the 8th to make it 6-4, but never quite got there. So Schmidt struggled. Offense was quiet except for those 2 innings. Yanks lost the first game of that series 6-4. Tuesday, like I said before, this was the game they definitely should have won. They had a 2-0 lead after Ben Rice led off the game in the top of the first with a solo shot, his 6th of the year. Made it 1-0, and then Jazz hit a sacrifice fly in the top of the 6th to make it 2-0. Offense should have done more, and then between that fact and the pitching with Warren coming out of the game and just a whole mess of things happening beyond that, Mark threw a wild pitch, and then just a little bit of a mess on defense as well, and oh my God, just a disaster, hit after hit as well. So that inning just got out of control from that point on, and ended up being 3-2, honestly. I was lucky that was all the runs they gave up, and they could have came back from that, but they just went silently in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, which was very irritating. Another game that they let get by them, and now they're at the risk of being swept by a team they usually handle very well in Cleveland. So went into that 3rd and final game, fortunately, much better game, thankfully, and Rodon turned in a beautiful outing, like we mentioned before, 7 shutout, the whole deal. And Cruz and Weaver both shutout 8th and 9th. They have just been a hell of a tandem together in the bullpen. Judge hit an RBI triple that was gone in any other single ballpark around the game to left center / dead center, that really tall wall there, and he hit the very top of it, basically the yellow line. Just missed it. And then Paul didn't miss a home run by much himself right after that. An RBI double made it 2-0. And then when they were up 2-1, Ben Rice, RBI single. Paul Goldschmidt, RBI single. Once again, just bat to ball with Goldie, like I've been saying. And then Austin Wells, RBI double, made it 5-1. And that was that. Pitching was locked down, except for the sloppy defense in the first. That was it. 5-1. Yankees salvaged a game. Would come back home after an off day to face the Blue Jays. Like we had already hit on before, the offense was majorly quiet in this night. Vlad hit a home run off of Tim Hill, who shouldn't have been in the game yet after Carrasco was doing as good as he was doing, but made it a 1-0 lead for the Blue Jays. Oswaldo, RBI single, Wells, sac fly in the 7th and 8th innings respectively, made it 2-1. Devin Williams folded like origami once again, to no one's surprise. This is one of those nights where I said everybody hold on to their asses, and it just went completely up in smoke. Lost another game that they should have won. Offense could have done more, absolutely, but Williams not doing his job once again. Yanks lose 4-2 to start it. Rain out yesterday, and then the doubleheader today. Like I said, Yankees swept the doubleheader, winning both games. Fried in the first game, despite not having his best, still delivered 6 innings, 1-run ball. We love that. Yuri De Los Santos up as the 27th man for the doubleheader, pitched 2 shutout innings, and Tyler Matzek, who just recently returned from the injured list, pitched the 9th, only allowing a run. The Yankees would ultimately win 11-2. A whole lot of offense. Bellinger, sac fly. Jazz, walk with the bases loaded. Anthony Volpe, walk with the bases loaded. Austin Wells, bases clearing double, made it 6-1. Volpe with his first home run since April 2nd to right field. Solo shot made it 7-1. Oswaldo 2-run double, 9-1. Goldschmidt RBI double, 10-1. And Jazz drove home the 11th run after an error by Ernie Clement. So 11-1 at that point, and the final was 11-2. So a hell of a first game victory. I was hoping they didn't just use all of their ammunition on game 1. Thankfully, they didn't. Game 2, they would also win by a score of 5-1. Trent leading it off with a solo shot once again. Santander tied it off of Schmidt by hitting a solo shot in the top of the third, and then the Yankees took over from there. Judge with his 8th, or should I say should be 9th, home run of the year. Solo shot to right center, made it 2-1. Jason Dominguez RBI double 3-1. Escara RBI single, and then a solo shot to make it 4, and then 5-1 for his first major league home run. Yankees sweep the doubleheader and take the series as they now find themselves with a 17-11 record, which is the best of the American League East at this point. 2 games better than the 16-14 Red Sox. And the rest of the division after that, like I said, the AL East just isn't too good right now. So that's been a very big point of fortune for the Yankees as of right now, with a lot of these struggling times they've gone through, and hopefully it continues to be going forward, because there are still aspects of this Yankee team, like I've expressed, that I'm not very confident in, but they're not in too bad of a place right now record-wise. So hopefully that just continues going forward. Like I mentioned before, it's no use talking about all of the games they'll be playing over the course of the next month that we won't be talking, but I can at least give you what's going on over the next week or so. Orioles for 3, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Be 6:35 p.m. Eastern for all 3 games. Off Thursday, and then 7:05, 1:05 p.m., and then 1:35 p.m. Eastern are the start times for the games over the weekend. Next weekend, all 3 against the Tampa Bay Rays. And the next weekend, they face the Padres for 3 at the stadium once again, 7:05 for all 3 of those games. And after an off day on Thursday, they hit the road again to head out west to face the Athletics the weekend of May 9th for 3 games, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, 10:05 Eastern Friday night, 4:05 Eastern Saturday, and then 4:05 Eastern again on Monday the 11th. All the games to come after that. We'll hit on at least the final scores of them when we loop back around with each other in June. Other than that, though, guys, and I didn't realize how long I was going for already. Jeez, almost 2 hours in. But you know what? I don't even care, because this is the last time we're talking, or yapping, I should say, especially on a day like today, until June. So it's all good with me. We'll just talk about some quick Yankees news before heading on out of here for today. Just a few things to update on, particularly with injuries. But just some news that I already mentioned earlier on in the show. As of Wednesday the 16th, and this was confirmed today, but back on the 16th, it was announced that Heel had actually been scheduled to resume his throwing program on or around that day, the 16th, but it had actually been pushed back about 10 days, which is why he just started it today. And originally the prognosis for that, and the reason for that, was that Boone said his doctors wanted to see more healing before throwing, which was not very encouraging to me, that we were nearing May before he even started to throw, which was adding more credence to my idea that he was not going to be back till at least July. I still kind of feel that way. But at least he's throwing now. So that's a point of positivity. It's good to hear. And he's going to have to ramp up more and more before he goes through his full spring training. I still think it's going to be just about or around July until he's back. It's going to be a while, guys. So don't count on seeing Heel anytime soon, but I assume we'll be getting updates on his rehabbing as the weeks continue to go along here over the course of the next month. I don't completely rule June out, but I don't expect it to be June. I really think it'll be, if it's going to be June, it's going to be the very last few days. That's really it, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens with this. We all know to take the Yankees' timelines for injuries with a grain of salt. But speaking of starting pitching, this was also the day, as we know, that Clark is reactivated, and they in turn optioned Alan Winans back down to AAA. So happy to have Clark back. And I still think that he's going to have a long ways to go to get his stuff really crisp again, but still good to have a familiar name back, I guess. Not all the help that they need in order to get back to where they really could be as a rotation, especially the way they were on paper coming into the season, but still a point of stability. Good to have back. On Monday the 21st, if you recall, Trent was actually placed on paternity, and Yorbit Vivas was called up in the meantime. We didn't see a lick of him, just like with that brief time last year when the Yankees were in Baltimore, I think it was, when he was called up. Didn't see even a little bit of him. Weird to call up an infielder when an outfielder goes on paternity, but nonetheless, called him up. This would be reversed right when Trent returned on Friday in the weekend series against the Jays. So alongside this, congratulations are definitely in order for Trent and his family. Congratulations on their child. It's freaking awesome. And it's coming at a really good time where he's playing out of his mind. So it's a cool thing to call back to. Just tell his kid, listen, when you were born, I was playing out of my friggin' mind. How about that? So then on Tuesday the 22nd, there was more roster news. Tyler Matzik had officially returned on this day. They had to sign him to a major league contract to add him to the 40-man and then select him to the active 26-man roster. They DFA'd Yoendris Gomez in turn, which I was kind of surprised about. I felt like they valued him as a long relief option whenever they needed him, but they DFA'd him, and he ain't coming back because he was picked up by the Dodgers. So that's always great. Love to hear when our talent's picked up by LA for them to, contribute to an already great team there. So, I mean, they could use the pitching. They're pretty injured right now from what I understand, and the last time I looked. But picked up by the Dodgers, so Yoendris Gomez is gone. And they also transferred as far as some rehab assignments going on. A lot of news on that forefront. But they transferred Clayton Beater's rehab assignment. Good to hear that he's been pitching from single A to double A. And they also started DJ's rehab assignment in the meantime on that day. And since then, from what I understand, DJ is actually raking down in the minors. Now, it is only the minors. I understand that. But I do have to say, with the way that a lot of the lineup has hit, especially before this weekend when they showed some better potential, especially in today's doubleheader in particularly. Before this weekend, with the way much of the offense has been going with and how much of them have been hitting offensively, especially in the middle infield with Jazz and Volpe, but even from a defensive standpoint with Waldo at third, I was saying before, and you know how I feel about DJ at this stage of his career, so you know that things have to be bad in some regards for me to say this, but it's not me switching up. I'm just saying, how much worse could it get? I was saying before, you might as well play DJ at this point with how players like Jazz are hitting and even fielding at times, and with the defensive struggles Waldo's had at third base, thrown to first, like, you might as well play DJ at either of those positions because you have second base being his primary position, DJ, as we know, and then third base he's played plenty of. He could play any of those defensively, and you'll get better defense. And with the bat, I mean, hey, even if he barely hits 200 once again, Waldo's hitting better than that. But especially when it comes to Jazz, I mean, what more are you really getting from Jazz significantly, maybe than just a slight uptick in power? Which, is it really even worth it when the rest of his offensive stats are what they are? I mean, it's pretty freaking bad. So, I mean, at that point, you don't really have much to lose by playing DJ. I mean, if a lot of the other parts of the lineup were doing what they were supposed to do, then you dread having to sit somebody for DJ. But at this point, with how some of them have been doing, what do you got to lose? It would just be kind of more of the same, even if he does brutally, right? So, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they fit him in there. If it'll be sort of a platoon situation with Cabrera, or even if it leads to some more days off for Jazz at second base. I mean, if DJ's even going to do slightly better than Jazz, what the hell, man? So, we'll see. We'll see how DJ continues to do in the minors. I know the Yankees are probably very happy at the sight of him raking down there, but that's how he's doing right now. So, and he is in the middle of a rehab assignment. It'll probably be a little bit more of a while before we see him, at least another couple of weeks, I would say maybe. But we'll see how they handle him when he does return, and he'll probably just be playing fully by the time we talk next, so we'll see what happens by then. Speaking of rehab assignments, Jonathan Loaisiga also commenced his yesterday, so I'm thrilled to hear that. We all know how much I've said I am thrilled for Loaisiga to come back, so I cannot wait for that. Hope he comes back as soon as possible. Probably not going to see him until, I'd say, about a month. And hopefully just stays healthy after that, because he misses guaranteed time for injuries every single year. And I'm hoping that this is just that time being missed now, getting it out of the way, and then he just goes through the rest of the year unscathed. The Yankee bullpen would be all the better for it, like they always are, because there are few more talented stuff-wise than Jonathan Loaisiga. I've always said that, and I continue to stand by that. And then there's the news that we already hit on before, as of just the last couple of days, where Boone had officially said that Devin Williams is out of the closer role. So that's something to keep an eye on. Weaver will probably be getting most closing appearances, which is what we all want, I think. We all want Devin to find himself again because they need him to. It's very important, and we really anticipated him playing a major role, to say the least. But he's out of the closer role for now, and I look forward to seeing if he could build that confidence back up. Other than that, it's a lot of rehabbing news, guys, because a lot of guys are just trying to fight their ways back to the team here. Otherwise, you got guys like Giancarlo Stanton, said he's feeling better as of when they last spoke to him on April 22nd, but he's not even sure when his rehab assignment's going to begin, so we'll see. I mean, it's good to hear that his pain levels have lessened, but not really going to be much news until we hear when a rehab assignment could be kicking off here. Marcus Stroman, certainly in no rush to get him back whatsoever. Apparently, he still wasn't feeling great in his knee as of April 21st with his quote-unquote injury. Like I made very clear how I feel about it a couple of weeks ago, but that's the latest on him pretty much. Jake Cousins is still sort of working his way back. He's just looking to start to face some hitters some point soon, but he said he expects to be back in early mid-June. So, still a while till we see him. And like I mentioned, just about everybody else is rehabbing otherwise. Scott Effross, we just have no idea what's going on with him, and JT Brubaker we'll probably just never see once again. But Luis Heel starting his throwing program, love that. Clayton Beaters continuing to rehab, getting his stuff moved along. Loaisiga started, DJ started, and yeah, we'll see. Especially with DJ, probably coming back sooner than anybody else, if I had to say, and playing any sort of a role with the big league team. And who knows, like I said before, potential to platoon him in there, give him some playing time over Waldo for defense at third and over Jazz for just about everything at second base. I mean, maybe having some competition and the threat of their job being under some fire, maybe they'll create some motivation and maybe have Jazz pay attention a little bit more. Who knows? But otherwise, that's really the latest with the news and the roster, my friends, and the rest of the team, the way things are going with Devin Williams and whatnot. That's really it. And to say the least, it's not like I got through that quickly because we're over 2 hours in here. When I come back in June, guys, I promise we will have another social media segment. Just didn't get around to it today, and it's fine that we didn't because I had a lot to cover and a lot on my mind that I wanted to get through today. And I think I hit on just about everything, and anything that I didn't, well, I'll probably be talking about it on social media regardless over the course of the next month or so. But for now, guys, episode 255, that's it. And I'm glad it was a way longer one to keep you guys held over for as long as possible because, again, we're not yapping for another month plus now. So I don't mind that this one was way longer. I'm cool with that. And I hope that I was still able to make this fun and informative for you, as I always try to. So that's pretty much that, my friends. Episode 255. That is just about it for today. The usual reminders. Follow me on all socials if you haven't, my friends. Social media's Facebook fan page, Mike Scudero NY. My Twitter or X is at Mike Scudero, and my Instagram is Mike Scuds97. Be sure to subscribe to Yapping Yankees on all 4 of the platforms it is available to be listened on. That's YouTube, Apple, Spotify, and SoundCloud. Like, subscribe, comment wherever you may be listening to show your love and spread the word, my friends, like you all always do such a great job at doing. And if you have missed any past Yapping Yankees episodes or just want to listen to any, honestly, if you're just in the mood, especially over the course of this next month, you might really want to. If you missed the show until June, that's fine. Episodes 1 all the way through to today's episode 255. All of them can be heard on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. And episodes 34, since that's when I started uploading to YouTube, all the way up to today, 255. All of those could be heard on YouTube if you prefer to listen over there. But otherwise, once again, I thank you 3,000 for listening to me yap today. As always, my good friends, I have been your host, Mike Scudero, and we shall yap again at some point in June. I don't even really know, to be honest with you. I'm looking at the calendar right now. I can expect to probably do an episode on June 8th. So I'll say that loosely for now. For when we yap again on June 8th, when I come at you with episode 256 of Yapping Yankees. But until then, guys, the usuals. Hang in there. Be patient. Please stay safe. Look out for your loved ones. That please be patient. Especially plays for my diehard listeners out there who are about to go for the longest time during the regular season without hearing a new Yapping Yankees episode. Please be patient and just hang in there. And go ahead and kick life's ass over the course of the next month plus like I always urge you to do, my friends. Always kick its ass. Take it day by day, step by step. Give it your all. You got this crap. And if you need me to remind you of that, then just keep on listening to the end of every Yapping Yankees episode where I remind you of that. But other than that, what can I say, my friends? I will talk to you in about a month. I have a lot going on in the month of May, as you know. Like I spoke about at the top of the show, whole lot going on that requires me to step away, but I'll be missing you guys on this show for a while. I'll be on social media, so you don't have to miss me completely. But as far as this show, I look forward to coming back to it. I hope that you enjoyed this one. I thank you for sticking with it every single week, as always. I really hope you all have a kick-ass month of May, and I can assure you that I will do the same. I'm going to study hard from now, as I have already for the last almost 4 full months, right through to the 15th. I'm going to do my damnedest to ace the Series 7. After that, I'm going to be celebrating a couple of birthdays before and after that, actually. I'm going to go to Japan and have the absolute time of my life. And then before we know it, because we know how fast time moves, we talk about it all the time, I'll be back here before we know it on June 8th to talk to you for episode 256. But until then, guys, enjoy Yankee baseball. Watch it every day, like I do. It's going to be super interesting to see what happens between these times talking, because I've never taken this much time off during a regular season before. But this team could be in a completely different place by the next time we yap in June. So it's going to be super interesting to talk about the month of May they had by that point and the first week of June and see where the team is at by then. Things could be completely different for better or for worse. And it's going to be super interesting to see how that takes form by the next time we yap here on Yapping Yankees. So, guys, all the best. As always, nothing but the best for all of you. Thank you so much for listening, as always, sticking with the Yapping Yankees, not only for 2025, but for as long as you've been listening. And hopefully you're still around by the time I come back with another episode on June 8th and ride out the remainder of the 2025 baseball season. In the meantime, guys, until we yap again, take care, and let's go Yanks. Love you guys. See ya.